Ever walk down the street and see a new store open? You walk by and say to yourself, hey, I should go check that store out sometimes. And a few months go by and you're walking down the same street and you say, holy crap, that store already went out of business. It's all too common of a problem. And the main reason for this failure is people don't understand how to launch a business. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through how you should launch a storefront business. And I'll use an example that seems to be popping up everywhere, which is specialty cupcakes. Those shops are popping up everywhere. Now, there's a lot of examples I could use, but this one seems like they open and then they're open for a few months or maybe a year and then they close. They just seem to go out of business. Now, why is that? And so you may say like, oh, hey, I've been to San Francisco or New York and there's a specialty cupcake shop that has lines around the block. And well, that's true, but let me use this little story to show you why most of these stores and why most storefronts open and then go out of business relatively quickly. So we'll use Dave and Sally as an example. So Dave and Sally went on a vacation to San Francisco. While they were walking around in the city, they saw a crazy line around the block. And they walked by wondering what it was, and they found out people were waiting in line hours for these beautiful cupcakes. Sally was intrigued because she loves to bake, and Dave was interested because he loves to eat a good cupcake. So they decided to wait in line to try these cupcakes. Over an hour they waited, and they were blown away that people would wait this long to buy one of these cupcakes. So when they got to the front, they walked into a beautifully decorated store with displays, amazing looking cupcakes of all varieties. So they each bought a cupcake for $5 each. They went outside and they found the cupcakes were good. Maybe not the best cupcakes they ever had, like they were pretty good though. Sally said to Dave, hey Dave, I think I could bake a better cupcake than this. Dave agreed and said, I can't believe people pay $5 for these. So after their trip, Sally and Dave were excited. They wanted to become entrepreneurs. They wanted to open their own cupcake shop in their own town, thinking about the lines around the block. And the first thing they did was they ran around town with a realtor to find the best store location they could find. That's the very first thing they did. They signed an expensive lease for 3 years, which, by the way, is about the shortest you can get a lease for a nice retail space. Sally and Dave then spent the next month decorating the shop and coming up with recipes and trying to figure out what to call the store. And they finally came up with a name, Sweetie's Cupcakes. And they're just getting the store finished up and they feel like they're pretty much done. Late one Thursday night, they go, hey, I think we're done. Let's open Monday morning. So they turned on Monday morning, they turned the sign, you know, the open and close sign, they turned it from close and they turned it to open. And they may have even had something on the window that said grand opening. The store was really beautiful. It was decorated probably better than the store in San Francisco. And it definitely had better tasting cupcakes. Surely Dave and Sally have a winner, right? Wrong. On the first Monday that they opened, they only had 5 customers. So assume they were charging $5 each, that's $25. Needless to say, based on their expenses, they lost a lot of money on day one. And they were a little bit depressed. There weren't any lines around the block. Each day though, they worked in the store. There were 2 or 3 more customers every day. So, 5 to 10 to 13, 15 one day. Maybe they had a day where there was 20 customers. And finally, after about 2 months, they had their first profitable day. For the next 3 to 4 months, they kept just staying around profitability. Plus a little bit one day or 1 week and minus a little bit one day or 1 week. And after a year, they just couldn't overcome the first 2 months of losses and they didn't have the lines around the block and they were a bit depressed. So they said, forget this, let's close the business. So the next thing that happened is the landlord sued them for the remaining 2 years that they had left on their lease. And poof, Sally and Dave's dreams were not only crushed because they didn't have a successful company, but they also lost around $250,000 in the lawsuit. So what went wrong? Well, I didn't even go over all the logistical problems that Sally and Dave had because all they really had was a nice store location and good tasting cupcakes. Here's probably the one thing that I'm gonna focus on what I think went wrong and how they could have set up their business for success. Now, I'm not a chef, so I'm not gonna say that their cupcakes could have been made better, but the first thing they should have done is come up with an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, which basically means that they spend the least amount of money possible to figure out what the market wants, what the world wants. Do they want what we're offering? Do they need a change? Does it need to be priced differently? So they could have easily started out with saying, hey, what kind of cupcakes do people like? Do they like red velvet? Do they like chocolate? What's gonna sell best? They could have gone to their church and set up a bake sale with some other people and have maybe 5 or 10 different recipes of donuts, each selling for only $1. Because right now, all they're trying to test is what flavors people like. And I think they would have gotten off to a much better start. Next, after they figured out that, hey, people really like coconut, they like chocolate, they like blueberry, they could have opened a local stand at a farmer's market with maybe just those 3 flavors. And they could have started testing their pricing. Hey, in our town, what are people willing to pay? Is it $2 a cupcake? Is it $5 a cupcake? And they could have also seen, if they had this stand at the same farmer's market every week, hey, are we getting repeat customers, or are people just trying our product kind of as a novelty thing, like, Dippin' Dots ice cream or something, where you try it once and that's enough. And after they got some feedback from how many sales did they have, how much could they price these cupcakes at, do they have repeat customers, after doing maybe 4 or 6 farmers markets, they could have it said, hey, we think this is successful. What's next? Maybe they could have taken out a few ads in the local newspaper, and maybe they could have passed out flyers offering to cater their cupcakes as desserts for parties. This would have allowed them to spread the word about their brand to a much bigger audience, maybe of people that didn't normally buy cupcakes, but because they were catered at a party or a wedding, they tried them and fell in love with Sally's recipes. Now, after taking all these steps, if they decided we still like this business, we think we have something that could be a success, we want to open a shop, they need to figure out next, do they have a customer base that they can mobilize? Do they have true believers in what they're selling? Because they like the business, they think they've priced it correctly, but they want to open a store. So the next step is figuring out how to create a tribe of their customer base. So maybe at their farmer's market stand, maybe on their party platters, they could have asked people to sign up, give us your email, and you could win a free dozen donuts. We're giving away a dozen donuts each week or each month. And they send out an e-newsletter once a month with their newest creation of their cupcake. And basically, maybe follow their Instagram or their Pinterest account or something. Anyway, they could have figured out how many fans they have in their local town, how many customers really love them. After just a few months, they should have been able to get their list up to 1,000 people, maybe 2,000 people. The whole time, keep in mind, unlike the failed story, Sally and Dave are making money from the farmers market stands and from the catering business, and they're just doing it part-time. They've taken almost no risk. And now they know they have a great product. They have a price that people will pay. They have a loyal customer base. And they said, you know what? We believe now it's time to open a storefront. Instead of going out and getting the best corner location like they did the first time and signing this expensive 3-year lease, they decided they wanted more flexibility and they didn't want the risk. And I think this is the right way to go. So they approached a local coffee shop that had too much space and asked if they could sublet maybe a 20-foot by 15-foot space. Their seating area had a bunch of unused tables, and they said, hey, let us set up a little stand in the back. We'll come every day and we'll sell our cupcakes. People will come in to buy our cupcakes, maybe they'll buy coffee. The deal can be month to month, and if either of us don't like it, we can leave or break the lease or whatever. And it'll only cost a few $100. But because of all the time and research they spent, they already know the flavors people like, they know the price point. Their cupcakes sold really, really well in that small space in that coffee shop. In fact, they started selling out almost every day. Now they're maybe 12 or 18 months in, and they have a customer list of around 5,000 people. And they said, you know what? We are so profitable. We're selling out 3 out of 5 days every week. We are gonna go out and we are gonna go get our dream store location in a high traffic area on a corner, the best location in town, and sign a 3-year lease or maybe a 5-year lease. They then decided to have a big grand opening party, invite the local news. They sent out a special coupon to all 5,000 of their mailing list now, or maybe their Instagram followers. And they said, if you come between 9 and 11 a.m. on our grand opening Monday, that you'll get your first cupcake for only $1. You guessed it, lines around the block. Hundreds of people showed up to cheer on the small business that started at a church bake sale. The news story got picked up and spread nationwide because of the hundreds of people in line. And because of all the practice they had, the operation of opening this new business went off without a hitch. 3 years later, Sally and Dave now operate 8 cupcake shops in different towns in their state. Now, that is how you start a successful business. So, think about the setup in the first situation and the setup of the second situation, taking it one step at a time, taking very little risk until they knew they had a product that they loved. That's how I would set up a storefront business. You could apply that to jewelry, you could apply it to food, you could apply it to almost any storefront business where you're selling a product. Anyway, this is James Charles Payne. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube and my Instagram at James Charles Payne. Have a good one.